I think, Sam, that you didn't think the first stimulus maybe was that effective.
Yeah.
I don't think you think a second stimulus is necessary.
Right.
We know where you're sitting. I mean, you're a wealthy guy, but let's go down the list of some of the other initiatives. You talked about the administration. Which are good and which are bad? Tax policy of the administration, cap and trade, health care. Are you universally opposed to everything, or are some of these things good ideas?
No, I think in the most simplistic terms, in 1992, Bill Clinton ran for president. The theme of his running for presidency was, "It's the economy, stupid." And right now, and for the last year, it has been the economy, stupid. And in the middle of that kind of a difficult period, the idea of running up $800 billion or $1 trillion of deficits on health care to serve 15% of the population, or cap and trade, expense, all kinds of other tax increases, all this done in the middle of probably the weakest economy since the Depression. I don't get it. I think Washington should focus its efforts on the economy, on making ourselves more efficient, and dealing with jobs, and jobs. And all this other stuff should be postponed for a time when we're in an economic position to do it.
Yeah, I totally agree with Sam. I think that many of these initiatives, however worthy they may be societally, are contradictory to strengthening the economy. It's going to take more money out of everyday people's pockets,
Absolutely.
and that's really the weak part of the economy. I also agree with Sam on gold. To me, gold is a psychological commodity. It's not really an industrial commodity. There's plenty of gold producible, especially at these prices. So it's really a momentum trade on a global scale rather than anything that has intrinsic value.
Does it have further to go, even with that sort of artificial strength of ETFs and momentum?
Well, sure. With sponsorship like John Paulson, it could go to 2,000.
Yeah, he'd like that.
You know, that's a whole lot of agreement from you gentlemen, and based on something I read from the Wall Street Journal blog, I may not have expected that much heading into this. Sam, there was a headline that said, "Sam Zell disses Wilbur Ross and commercial real estate savants." Apparently you said, "All the new savants on commercial real estate like Wilbur Ross, I find their comments are inversely related to our knowledge of the industry."
Wow.
Ouch.
Wilbur, that was absolutely my statement at a conference last week, and I promise you, Wilbur, if I ever say anything about the steel business, you have a right to do the exact same to me.
Hey, Sam, I accept your apology.
Hey, Sam,
I didn't apologize.
Sam, I don't know if you can see this, but I brought something because I figured that you and Wilbur would be going at it, and I'd have to referee.
What, they're going to prison? Oh no.
Hey, Sam, we had a question that came in before we let you go, a question from a viewer that's a good one I wanted to get to you, too. Kurt Waltz from Scottsdale, Arizona writes in. He says that, this is for all three of you, but Mr. Zell in particular has said that this commercial real estate market is a victim of decreased demand and oversupply. He wants to know what specific industries you think will lead demand. Is it going to be office, industrial, retail? Which one will be the first to recover?
I think that probably the most severe slowdown has been in office real estate, and I would suspect that that probably will be the first recovery, particularly since I think the corporations are in much better shape than the consumer.
Sam, I got to disagree with you on that one. I think that the rental apartments are going to lead the...
I'm sorry, that wasn't part of what she defined as... I'm sorry. I couldn't agree with you more. Apartments always are the leaders, and they will be again.
Right.
I don't disagree with that.
No, you're right. I laid it out, office, industrial, retail.
Right.
But do you think that retail is as maybe quick to recover?
Well, what's the new norm? Because as I keep hearing that on the show, the new norm is that nobody goes shopping and spends money. They just save it.
So I don't think I got a bridge to sell you.
What?
I said if you believe that nobody's going to go shopping, I have a bridge to sell you.
Okay, well,
It's in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn is good. I mean, it's. But in my opinion, you got 3 million. The population is increasing 3 million annually. Eventually, you know, they're going to move out of grandma's house and get their own apartment if there's a job available to them. And there's no question in my mind that the multifamily sector will, of all the categories, will emerge first.
I read yesterday that what are mall vacancy rates? 20%?
No, they're not that high.
Not that high.
Not that high. I think 11 or 12%.
Yeah, but I think the key in the mall business is obsolescence.
Right.
When you have excessive capital available, you have all kinds of retail or all kinds of real estate that gets created for which there's no justification. We had this whole lifestyle center concept that has been a failure because there are no anchors. We have a lot of marginal, both strip and malls that I don't think will ever recover. On the other hand, the prime malls, I think will do just fine, and we'll get through this without any issue.
Sam, in the past, you've been on panels here, and you always have a pretty rosy outlook to some extent long term. You're a half-full guy on a lot of things. Is this recovery, in your view, going to be worse than previous ones because of what led us into it, or are we underestimating the strength of the economy to come back?
I think the answer to your question is different than you proposed.
Okay.
I think the question is, if Washington doesn't screw it up, I think we will have a normal recovery. If Washington screws it up with new taxes and new burdens on the economy, then all bets are off.
Okay, so...
You know, under the medical thesis, the rule is do no harm. And I think somebody needs to go to Washington and tell them to do no harm.
You're in Chicago politics. These guys know how to play, and a lot of this stuff is going to end up law, don't you think?
I hope not.
All right.
Sam, always good to see you. You always bring it straight, and we appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you very much.